Hello, everyone watching and listening and viewing this episode of Coaching Conversations on YouTube or listening to it on Spotify or whatever other platform that you're listening to it on right now. Today, we have a very special episode of Coaching Conversations. And the reason being is not only is our guest the first guest on Coaching Conversations, but he's also part of the Upcoach team. So in the interest of time, I want to speed this up and introduce Tony Crossin, one of the business growth experts at Upcoach. He is not only a former business owner or runs business in his own right, but he's also a great coach, a great mentor, a good personal friend of mine. And obviously he helps business owners all over Australia with Upcoach grow their businesses as well. And couldn't think of anyone more qualified to kick off the special guest aspect of Coaching Conversations. We thought we'd bring Tony on today so that you could listen to what Tony has to say, because listening to Nick and myself could become monotonous to some degree, but also Tony brings a massive amount of business knowledge, a great wealth of information in terms of running businesses. And that's why we wanted to throw some questions at him and interview him on the show. So without any further ado, I'd love to introduce Tony. Tony, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks, Chris. Great to have this opportunity to be able to, both chat with you, but also sort of share some insights with our listeners.
Yes, I'm sure they're all burning. We've got a couple of great questions lined up, actually, to really start helping business owners and provide some real upfront value. But before we get into that, T, could you give us a quick 3-minute background on your work history, your business history, where you are? I mean, you're up on the sunny coast, obviously, now, but maybe a little bit of an insight as to where you've come from in business and why you're, doing the business coaching thing right now.
Yeah, Chris. So my background has sort of predominantly been in sort of hospitality most of my working life. Sort of came to Australia sort of back in 1995, emigrated out here from the UK. And sort of my speciality area was really with airlines. So I worked with British Airways over in the UK and then sort of got headhunted here by Qantas and came and sort of ran all of the food aspects for Qantas for the best part of sort of 5 or 6 years. And then I took on a big challenge for them working with the cabin crew, just trying to sort of change everything about what the cabin crew did on board the aircraft. So that was sort of like my reason for coming to Australia. But then I left Qantas back in 2003, really for the pursuit of wanting to actually start my own business. I had a real desire and passion to do that. And I started a catering business, which was basically feeding sports people. So sort of from a nutrition point of view, but also from a food aspect as well. And it was just sort of combining two passions that I had, really, one being food and the other being sport. And it was just that I loved doing that. And, it really sort of enthralled me to be able to actually sort of, help people actually understand how they could use food as part of a program to actually help them sort of improve, their performance either on the field or in their event, whatever it was they were doing.
Right.
I then sort of got into more actually running the business, and that was sort of, what I really, really got into sort of, and I had a business for like 15 years and I grew it.
Right, yeah.
I had lots of different aspects to it as well. I really enjoyed running business. And then at the end, fortunately for me, somebody offered to buy my business. And at the time it wasn't for sale, but then somebody actually sort of gave me a little bit of a slap around the face and said, hey, everything's for sale. It's just got to be at the right price.
Good lesson right there. Yeah.
So I decided to sell the business and take a bit of a break and sort of really try to connect with what I really wanted to do. And I think that was to sort of, help people in business and just right time, right place. Upcoach came along and, it was a good fit at the time.
Yeah.
And I joined the Upcoach team, with yourself and Nick and, others that were in it then. And it's been a fantastic journey ever since, just actually helping people with just some of the things that I had learned along the way and just helping them shortcut those sort of processes to just, get them to a much better place more than anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Shortcuts, a good point. I think you and I share a common interest there where we've come from somewhat struggle areas in our businesses and we want to shortcut other business owners so that they don't have to go through the same sort of agony that we may have gone through. So I think that's pretty interesting. We share the same common interest, but you've been coaching plenty of business owners with Upcoach now. How long have you been with the Upcoach for?
Probably about 3.5 years now. So.
Yeah, a little while. So, and obviously you've had an opportunity to travel with our live shows, speak on the stages, speak at mastermind events. and you definitely help out a lot of my clients as well from a financial perspective. Tony's often referred to as the finance guy. So when we need to get him in to talk about profits and sales and really looking at fine tuning those numbers on the back end, then Tony's the guy to speak to, which is good. So obviously you've got a massive amount of knowledge on the back end running your own businesses for that length of time and working at the top levels of Qantas and British Airways and things and really seeing what they get to do. So I guess my first question stems from that, Tony, which is, in your experience, what's the secret to running a successful business for you? Like, what's the secret sauce here?
Well, that's actually a really good question, Chris. And first and foremost, I'm going to say having a great coach.
Boom, plug right there.
Boom, whack. Because I think that's almost fundamental if you actually want to have success in a business. And I'll explain a little bit about what that is. But normally sort of how I work with my clients is I actually sort of focus on, if you like, my top 5, and I'm going to share sort of, if you like, those 5 top tips with you now.
Yeah, that'd be great.
First is to be really clear about your why. And if you don't know what that is, then maybe watch Simon Sinek's YouTube video about understanding your why, because it's about your purpose. It's the reason for what you do, basically. And it's so important to be able to sort of connect you and the business together, because this is what's actually going to help you get through every single day, because there's a lot to do when it comes to running a business, and there's a lot of challenges that you're going to face, and it gets really tough. And that's when you actually sort of really need to be sort of connected with why you're actually doing this. Because if you don't, then, it can get sort of quite sort of almost lost in the process. So be really clear about your why as a first.
Right.
The second for me, Chris, is you must. And that's 3 musts, by the way.
That was 3 musts.
Three
okay.
musts. Be really good at sales.
Ooh, okay.
Because this is and will be the lifeline of your business. And without it, you die. If you're not good at sales, then find someone that is. Hire somebody who's a gun at sales. Because you really need to make sure that your business has a regular flow of income and sales coming through. That's what's actually going to make your business successful.
Right.
And so many businesses fail simply because they're not good at selling.
Okay. Can I throw a pebble into the water there, T? How do you get good at sales if you're not natural? Because no one's born salesman, I don't think.
Yeah.
But how do you get good at sales?
I was never good at sales, Chris, and I always really struggled with it. But what I did find out, and I actually learned this from Nick, and Nick is probably a master at sales. And what I did was I actually sort of, broke down what it was that Nick does, and really sort of look at trying to segment what is it that you actually need to do. And I think Nick has the 7 steps of sales.
That's right.
And I sort of spend a lot of time just really getting a deep understanding of what each one of those processes was, what you needed to do and how it actually worked. And then actually sort of put that into play to see where I was good and where I wasn't good. And where I wasn't good, do a little bit of research, get a better understanding, and get good at it if I'm the person that's responsible for it. Even think if you're not the person responsible for it, you still need to understand it, so you can help others actually do what you need to do within the business. Right.
Okay, cool. So develop that process and then fine tune what you're not good at or what you're good at and really start working it that way. Yeah. Okay, right. Great.
All right. Third is know and measure your numbers. Again, I'm the numbers guy. So I'm going to sort of say, in my experience as a business owner, I waited too long to actually find out what I should be doing and could have been doing with the numbers. And that was a long lesson for me. And I try to make sure that people actually know what it is that they should be looking at and what they can do with their numbers and how they can actually sort of help, run the business through their numbers and have key indicators so that, they know how much money they should be making, or they know what the targets are, week in, week out. Those numbers are quite critical for the success of any business. So you must make sure that you're really familiar with them. And again, if you don't know, find out, ask somebody for help. Talk to your accountant, or, just watch some YouTube videos just to get a little bit more understanding about how it all works.
Right.
Number 4 for me is to be a great leader. And it's not all about just being a good boss. It's about leadership skills. And that's what actually sort of really can drive a business. And you must master those skills. You must be good at all elements of them in order for you to be a good business entrepreneur, but
Mm.
also to be, a good business owner and respected by both your players, your team, and the people that are around you. So,
Right. So effective lead or great leadership will lead a great business. Is that kind of where you're going with that one?
of course it is, Chris. It's
Right.
like you can often sort of see that, particularly with small business owners, is that they don't think that leadership is actually important. They think that's only for big sort of corporations and organizations, but it's
Good
really
point.
fundamental that you actually, look at the principles of leadership and start applying them to your everyday, tasks, your everyday moves. It's actually sort of what you're doing. Hold yourself in high esteem for being a good leader, because good leadership will lead to good, successful business.
Got it. Great.
The last one, Chris, is about being prepared for everything and anything. There's nothing
Mm.
there, You and I know that in the hospitality industry, you've got to be prepared for everything.
Yes. Contingency plan like a madman.
And, be prepared to change. I think
Mm.
that's the key thing. You must be able to pivot and change, and adapt in your business to be able to meet the environmental changes that are happening. And, more so now than ever, if it's one thing that, this whole COVID pandemic has taught us, is the ability to be able to pivot and adapt. It's an
Yes.
must in business.
Yeah.
We talk about reinventing and we talk about, doing things differently. That's exactly what I mean here. And you must be prepared for that. And it's like, you can't hold on to the past. You've actually got to be prepared for the future. That's
Right.
for me, it's like, that's the key message here is that, you've really got to just make sure that you're ready to cope with anything that comes along.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay, great. That's a really good spread that's the Tony's top 5. There you go. Tony's top 5 to be a success in business. And I think to a certain degree, it's a matter of practicing those top 5, not only daily, but consistently. Everything from understanding your purpose to knowing your numbers to leadership to really learning to adapt to any form of change. That's a daily practice, consistent thing. It's not like you read a book on leadership and you're like, well, hey, I'm done it. Now I've mastered that. No, it's a continual process. And yeah, I mean, I know that that's critical in business, but do you have any advice for business owners that have listened to that, got the top 5 and gone, okay, great, those are the 5 key areas. Any way to, I guess, optimize their performance to get the best out of those 5 areas, or how should they split their time, or what's the best way to, I guess, develop those 5 steps?
I think, Chris, the way to look at it is that, and I do this with a lot of my clients, is to sort of maybe take that approach and look at maybe tasking yourself with making some form of contribution in each one of those areas every single week. So just make yourself a list and go, let me have a look at where I'm at with my leadership skills. What is one area this week that I can maybe just focus on? What is one number that I want to look at in my business, be it net profit, be it understanding my cost of goods, be it understanding where most of my expenses lie? Look at, those simple things that you can do. How easy is it for me to adapt and change? If somebody comes along or something happens in the business, am I ready? Am I prepared? So what do I need to actually do in all of those areas? And just task yourself with doing something little each week, because all of those little things are going to contribute to something much bigger further down the track.
Right. Okay, cool. So small steps every week, basically, to work towards success in business. Okay, great. That's super sound advice, and hopefully you've taken some value from that, guys. Even when Tony and I speak, which is every week, I'm always picking things up. So that was really good. If you haven't written those top 5, again, go back, listen to that section in detail, and then really jot them down. And then it's that methodical approach, like practicing them every week, will lead to greater success for your business, which is great. Tony, I know that you've worked with a lot of different clients over the last 3+ years. I want to talk about a success. Is there a memorable client coaching, or what's one of your greatest successes from a client from coaching that you've experienced over the last however many years coaching with us?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, that, Chris, because how do you measure success? Right? It's like, in my experience, it's more in the eyes of the beholder, if you like, because some may see it as being financial. Some it might be about profit. For others, it could actually be about themselves in terms of their level of confidence, or it might be a personal achievement that they actually want to in business. And for others, it could be the amount of time that they want to spend with their family. So everybody has a different, if you like, understanding about or perspective about what success actually is. One story comes to mind for me in working with a particular client, in terms of whether at the end of the coaching term, let's say, that person actually perceived that both they are now successful, but the coaching program that they engage with actually helped them achieve that level of success.
Okay.
Let me share the story behind this.
I was going to say, please elaborate.
They were at the bottom of the barrel. And I do mean the bottom of the barrel. They had tried everything, and they were literally in quite a bad state. And they'd worked particularly hard for 10 years in this business, and now they were in the worst position ever, to the point that
can you share what industry? I know we don't want to go into business specifics, but can you share the industry that they were in, so we have some?
They were in the retail business.
Retail, right?
It was in retail, and they hadn't made good decisions. They hadn't made good choices. They probably hadn't really had a focus. And I say there was a number of contributing factors that actually led them to be in this position. There wasn't one thing. It was a number of errors that had occurred along the way, and they basically got lost, and it all was becoming far too hard and difficult. But the biggest issue was financially, they owed so much money that they could not see their way out of this.
Right.
They would have to work for nothing for 10 years in order for them to actually get themselves out of this situation.
Right.
And that didn't seem like a good option for them. So it needed sort of something drastic, to occur, or else they were going to lose everything. They were totally lost in terms of what to do. So they actually attended one of the road shows that we did. And they got sort of quite inspired just by what they saw, and what Nick could actually sort of help them with. And lo and behold, that as a last ditch effort, I think they sort of signed up and said, hey, we really need help here, and we really need somebody to actually sort of help us actually get out of this mess that we're in.
Sure.
So they did sign up, and I got assigned to sort of work with them. They were a fairly early client for me. I really sort of resonated with them in terms of the situation that they were in, and was able to actually sort of take my own experience and apply that to them, and show them that they can actually find a way out of this, and we could actually help them. And if they listened and did and followed what we were telling them to do, we would actually sort of get them into a better situation than what they were now. And that's really what we did. We basically sort of did a fresh start. And that's really what was required. But in making a fresh start, we really needed to be able to connect them with what it was that they really wanted to do, what it was that they were looking to achieve.
Yes.
And we needed to make sure that they were committed to actually doing that, and that they would actually do what we said they were going to do. That they were actually seeing that by following these guidelines or these programs, that they were able to actually turn this business around and bring it back to life, if you like, more than anything else.
Okay.
It took a lot of faith, a lot of, self-belief, but, with some real clear direction, some education, good understanding, but more importantly, accountability. Very quickly, they turned this business around.
Right.
And it wasn't too long before they started to actually see that just by following good business principles, I'm going to say, and understanding, things like their numbers, and understanding, what they needed to do from a sales perspective, and, just looking at newer opportunities than what they'd always looked at before.
Right. So practicing your top 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Almost, that to a T. They started to actually see that things were starting to happen that had not really happened before. In a very short period of time, these results started to show. The formulas that we were developing were starting to actually deliver the right outcomes.
Yeah.
And, things were starting to really move for them. Every week I would ask to see the finances. Every week I wanted to see done from a sales point of view. I shared with them the sales tracker that you gave me, and we were sort of honing in on that to make sure
Great.
that they were doing the right thing, really the way that we wanted. And it really actually helped them get connected with the importance of how this was now driving the business.
Right.
What they thought was driving it. We were actually onto facts. We were onto numbers. We were onto, physical things that we could check and see. And this is what changed the mindset. This was the shift, that we needed to see. We also worked on the team. We got rid of a lot of the, I'm going to say, dead wood that was in the business, and we restructured the entire team with people who wanted to be there and that could also make a valued contribution,
Great.
And that was a big change too. So 2 years on, the business is very sound. It's doing very well.
Fantastic.
More engaged now than they've ever been. They have diversified into new markets. They're targeting a new profile of customer, if you like, to work with. And to top it all, at the end of the financial year last year, they delivered a profit the first time in 11 years.
Wow.
So
far out.
It wasn't massive.
Yeah.
But if you compare it to the loss the year before, it's massive. The turnaround is significant. That's really what's important. But the most important thing, Chris, is that they're on that road now and can see how it actually works and what they need to do. And we've sort of set them on their new journey. So, in terms of, success, if we're talking about success, the business owner is certainly in a much better sort of mindset. They're in the driving seat. They've got the business under control, and they now understand what those key metrics are that they need to run their business.
Yes. Yeah. And the coolest part about this, Tony, is you've not only empowered the individual, but you've also provided that coaching and that knowledge and that expertise and understanding those, we'll call it business principles, to help them shape the next 10 years of their business life now, which I think is incredible. And that's the shift that I really enjoy from a coaching aspect, is being able to empower others to actually take this on and change the direction for their business. So that's an incredible story. That's great. And, I agree with you. Sometimes it's hard to define success for this particular business owner. They probably really not only have they noticed the change, but they can really now set themselves up for a different level of success over the next 5-10 years or whatever it's going to be. So that's cool.
Yeah. So, that's what success looked like for them. It's been life-changing for them. Less stress, less anxiety, and more time to enjoy their life. And they just feel better. And it clearly shows, that's what I see. If the measure of success is that, then tick. I think we did that.
Perfect. Cool. I'm going to wrap up the episode with one more question, T, and this is kind of related with shifting from business success and business principles now to kind of personal motivation and drive. And I know that you're a super morning person, and and you might have to share a little bit about what you do in the mornings, but I know that morning routines are powerful, but I know that you have another morning routine or something that you practice every morning. So for people that find it hard to get moving in the morning, for business owners that want to do more with their day, Tony, what's your advice around morning routines, and how beneficial do you think it is to have one? And if you could share a little bit of yours very quickly, because I'm looking at the clock, can you spill the beans on morning routines for us?
Of course I can, Chris. And I'm going to borrow a phrase from Tony Robbins that I picked up last year when we went to the Unleash the Power Within seminar.
And
it's self-priming.
Right.
It's about preparing yourself for your day. And Tony Robbins has this routine that he does every day, and it's simple, but it's just about preparing you for your day and getting the mind, body, and soul ready for anything the day is going to throw at you to deal with, and both sort of experience along the way. So I've built my routine around what I need that works for me. And I would suggest that everybody listening, does the same. You can borrow mine if you like, and then gradually adapt that to suit your own needs. And if that actually helps you thrive through your day, great. And if you want to watch the Tony Robbins video, YouTube priming, get some sort of insights from him in terms of what he does. It's really good.
Great.
So let me start with this, Chris, because it's important that everybody knows this, that I have committed 3 hours of my day to me.
Wow. 3 hours.
3 hours.
Now, I know there's people listening, Tony, that are going to be like, forget it. Turning off the podcast right now. 3 hours. This guy's a joke.
Yeah.
So please explain.
Yeah. Okay. It's me time. It's where I've made a commitment to invest in myself, to give my body what it needs so that it will give me what I need throughout the day. It's as simple as that. It's like an arrangement that we have, and it just works.
Right.
So for me, Chris, it starts the night before in making sure that I get enough sleep.
Yeah.
So that I feel refreshed and my energy levels are high, and I feel good when I first wake up in the morning. I generally wake up before my alarm every day.
Okay.
And that's a good indicator for me that I've had enough sleep.
Great.
I get up around 6 o'clock most mornings, even on the weekends, because for me, this is the best time of the day. The air's fresh, it's clean, it's cool, the sun's up, and there's a new day here, and I just want to get out and sort of start my day in the morning.
Yeah.
I get out of bed, and my first thing that I do is I stand up and I take 3 really big deep breaths to fill my lungs with fresh air.
Okay.
Then I drink a glass of water, normally at about 500-600 mils, to hydrate my body, because I know that everything that I've read tells me that we use plenty of fluids while we sleep, and we need to hydrate.
Right.
Enough water.
Okay.
Try drinking too much water in a day, and you will feel so much better. That's how it works.
Sure.
Then I take about 5 minutes, and I just relax and focus my thoughts on what my day is going to be like. What type of day I'm going to have, what are the challenges that I'm going to face and deal with, and the impact I'm going to have on others around me, of course. But that's just my sort of focus for when I first get out. Then I go to the bathroom, I wake up my body, and I sort of basically freshen up, cold water on my face and, around my head as well. So just put like a big handful of cold water on the back of your head, and it really wakes your brain up. It really does just invigorate you first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Then I get myself ready to exercise. And normally, and I know that, some people will struggle with this, but I do about an hour to 2 hours every day in the morning.
Yes. Right. Okay.
And there's a really good reason why, but I do a combination of like walking, circuits, running, riding, swimming, just anything to get my body moving, because once I've actually done that, I'm ready for the day. I can take on anything.
Got it.
I'm fired up. It's like the engine's been primed. I'm ready to go. And that's what really gets my energy level moving. If I don't do that for some reason, if I lay in bed all morning and I get up at 9 o'clock, I'm sluggish for the whole day. And I really struggle. I really struggle to do what I need to do throughout the whole day. And I'm normally going until 5, 6, maybe 7 o'clock every day. And and I'm not struggling with, energy or anything else. So it's just important to actually get the blood moving in the body and actually energize it and get, everything flowing.
Okay.
But while I'm exercising, Chris, the thing that I've really found useful of late is I use the time to actually really examine, if you like, the thoughts in my head, and actually sort of, where are my challenges for this day, and start to actually sort of put real positive thoughts around, I'm going to do this, or, how am I going to do this? So that anything that comes along in the day, I'm ready for it. And I look at everything as a challenge. Nothing is difficult. So I'm priming myself to face the challenge, not face the difficulty.
Right. Okay. So you're priming your mind and your body almost at the same time. Right. I get it.
So that, when I get home, I take a shower. I normally finish with like a bit of a cool rinse, which, turning that cold tap on is a bit.
Yeah.
That really wakens the body up as well. Let me tell you.
Sure does. Yes.
Yeah. And then I'm energized. And then I often come out and I might have like a light breakfast, just something really light, just to sort of kick me off in the morning. I often fast 2 days a week. So
right.
On a Thursday morning, I try and not eat until midday. And again, that really helps me from an energy level as well.
Really? Okay.
Even though I'm not eating on those days, I actually feel more energized on those 2 days than I actually do on the other days. So I'm actually trying to move into doing more of a 5 and 2 rather than a 2 and a 5, if that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
But that's something that, again, I'm just sort of working with. But I've got to
Right.
say, Chris, having this priming ritual every
Mm,
morning
mm,
is just a routine,
mm,
and just something that we do set ourselves. It's just like brushing your teeth every day.
mm.
We just do it because we've set that as a routine.
Yeah.
So this actually puts me in the best mindset to actually sort of, really, meet the challenges of the day. And we've all got challenges that we have to work through, every single day. But
Mm.
I know, Chris, that, and I know that you think a little bit like this, if I can do this every morning, if I can get through that 1 or 2 hours every morning, I know I can just about do anything for the rest of the day.
Yep.
That's what really sets me up.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter what a client wants to throw at me. I
Mm.
know I'm ready for it, because if I can get up and do what I do every morning, I can meet any challenge that anybody's got to throw at me. So
Yeah. Right.
morning rituals are so important. And, if you haven't got one, then, I highly suggest that you literally try it for yourself. You'll never look back. And once
Never
you
look back.
get into the routine, you'll absolutely love it.
Yeah, and that's so true. I've recommended morning routines to every client that has
Yeah.
started working with me, and every single one of them has said, I feel better for it, or this is great, it keeps me focused. So it definitely creates change. And if you're still listening and you're thinking, I don't have 3 hours, Tony, then that's fine. You can shape your own morning routine or morning ritual around how much time you have. If you only have 60 minutes because you're a tradie and you need to be on site at 7:30 a.m., that's fine. You can still get in the water and the deep breath and the cold shower and some form of exercise or moving the body. You can still get that done. It's just you need to find something that works for you.
Yeah.
So that's good. Thank you, Tony, for sharing that. And it's definitely left food for thought for myself, and I'm sure for everybody else listening. I want to finish on that note. Tony, thank you so much for joining me on Coaching Conversations this morning.
Pleasure, Chris.
And obviously we'll be rolling the next episode to you very soon. So sit tight, wait for our next episode next week, and we'll speak to you all again soon. Bye now.